Hello everyone. Today we are solving another common Next.js app router problem, fixing conditional hooks in Next.js app router when we are using useswr. I'm seeing this error, unhandled runtime error, rendered fewer hooks than expected. This may be caused by an accidental early return statement. This happens when using useswr or any React hook inside an if statement, loop, or conditionally in JSX. Why does this happen? React hooks must always be called in the same order at the top level of the component, which is intentional. In this video, you will learn why calling hooks conditionally causes errors, the correct way to conditionally skip API calls in SWR, and a simple trick using null as SWR key. Let's dive in. Going back to the code, let me show you what am I doing here. I have a hook called usefetchCustomers, which is calling another hook usefetchCustomerList. This returns customer data and a customer in response. This is using useswr with a key called customer.list. I'm using dummy data and not making API calls just for the demo purposes. Now, what I'm doing in this usefetchCustomer hook is I'm calling customer list, and if there's only one customer, then I'm fetching the customer details. This is very valid production scenario, and this can happen to you as well. In the fetch customer details, I'm returning the customer details with name, address, and so on. But because I have to make a decision inside usefetchCustomers whether customers list returns more than one data, I have added if condition. But as you can see, this is also throwing an error because I'm using an extension. I can see it over here, but if you're not using this VS Code extension, you will see it at runtime. This is the wrong way of using useswr. Why? Useswr is only called when customer count is not equals to 1. Otherwise, this will not be called, and React expects hooks to be in the same order every render. But in some renders, in this case, useswr isn't called at all. Solution is very simple trick that is an option provided by useswr to conditionally skip the API call, which is, so for example, this is an hook that we want to call conditionally. So what we can do is we can set this API key to null if we don't want to call it. So let's say I have a Boolean parameter called skip, and I'm going to initialize it by false by default. Now here we can decide if I want to skip, then I set the API key is null. Otherwise, I set this key as customer.details. This is a simple trick. Now when calling this, what I can do is the second call to this can be a Boolean flag. But here we don't need to make a decision inside if else block. What we can do is if customer count is not equals to 1, then we can set the Boolean flag. So let's copy this and find the customer details in a object and say this, comma, customer count is not equals to 1. So we want to skip this API call when customer count is not equals to 1. And then we return customer details if customer details has the data. Or else we return customer list. Let's save this, go back to browser, refresh it, and at the moment we see two items, one with ID and other with customer undefined, which is fine because I have only one customer over here, and I have hard-coded this in the page that I am printing two IDs if they're available. Then I can simply add more data to customer list, and here this will start returning two customers. So this API should not be called and we should still see the data. Then here you see I get two IDs and they are printed on the page. But you get the gist how to skip the API calls when you're using useswr. A quick recap: React hooks must be called unconditionally at the top level of the component. Don't wrap use SWR inside if statements, or if you want to call it conditionally, then you can pass null as the key to escape API calls safely. Now you know how to fix conditional hooks in Next.js app router. If this video helped, hit like and subscribe for more Next.js tips. Have you ever struggled with this error? Let me know in the comment section, and I will see you in the next video. Happy coding!